welcome to Lesson 2 of our HTML and CSS coding bootcamp. Today we're going to be learning about doing more with HTML. So we're going to learn how to add images, add links, and add tables. So let's start with images. The image tag is what we're going to be learning about. It needs a source, it needs an alt, and it needs a size typically. So image tags can be added by typing the image tag, img. So this is what it will look like. Let me start over here. Okay, so in the body section of your document, wherever that is, you'll just type img, and that's an image tag. The image tag needs information to be defined regarding the location, size, and format of the image. Additional data can be defined by adding attributes to a tag. Multiple attributes can be added using spaces. The image tag has three important attributes. The first is the source attribute. That's where you're going to find the file. So that's very important. Otherwise, the browser is not going to be able to find the image that you're looking for. So you start with the img tag, and then you move your cursor next to the tag name and create a space, and then type src and some quotation marks. So I'm going to go right after the G, before the close of it, and I'm going to do a space and type src. Then I'm going to type my equal sign and two quotation marks. Inside of those quotation marks is where the file name of your image goes. So you type the URL for the image that you want to add, or you can copy and paste it. An image cannot be selected directly from your computer. It must be based in an online repository. So the image, whatever image you decide to use, has to be uploaded to the server as well. And you make sure that it is enclosed with the quotation marks. The alt attribute provides text that can be displayed in the place of the image. So if the image can't load, this is the text that will appear there. So you need to have an alt attribute as well. An alt attribute is important for internet users who are visually impaired. Screen readers need text content to convert it to speech and read it to users. So this is also used for screen reading. Users with slow or limited internet connections who avoid loading images get any important information from the image even without the image being there. An alt attribute should always be added. So it's good practice to add an alt attribute. So under source, let's just say our picture was called picture.jpg, okay? And then we're going to arrow over, but not past the closing arrow, just past the quotations, and do another space. And then we're going to type alt. So the alt attribute is what a screen reader is going to see. So this is a picture of ... whatever it is. It can just be a title if you want it to be a title. Okay, so that's another attribute that you need to add for images. Okay, so you begin with the start img tag. Then you define the source. Then you add a space, and then you do the source, and then following the space you type alt, and you type the text that you want associated with the image, and then close the quotation marks. Then after the image, you should have a closing image tag, closing img tag. So after this, I'm going to have a /img tag. Okay, and that's going to be my image. You can also define things such as width and height and all that kind of stuff. The size of images on a web page can also be defined using attributes in the start image tag. The most common unit to use to resize pictures is the pixel. A pixel is a unit of measurement often used for images. The size of an image can be defined either by width or by height. usually in pixels. So if you want to add the image width and height, if you know it, you can do that. So it says begin with the start image tag, move your cursor next to the tag name and create a space, and type width or height. Type a value for the size of the image in pixels and make sure this is enclosed with quotations. Make sure the end image tag is still in place. So this is what it would look like if you know the width. So width equals 100px. Px stands for pixels. So if I want to go in here and add width, I'm going to go right after the alt attribute and type width equals 100px. And then let's say I know the height as well. So I'm going to go height equals 80px. Okay, and you can keep adding on different attributes to it. The width and height don't have to be added, but if you know them, it's a good idea to put them in because the browser will load it quicker. Okay, the next section is going to talk to us about adding links, internal links and external links to another page. So when you want to link to another web page, you need to use the anchor tag or the A tag. Text can be inserted between the start and end A tags. Users can read this text and then click on this text to follow the link, easier than simply providing a long, confusing URL. So this is how you would create a link. You're going to type the A tag, and then whatever text you want them to see, like click here, and then you do your /A tag. And that's automatically going to be a link. I'll show you. Dun, 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 dun. Nope. Just a minute. Okay, so we actually have to add the source of it as well. Two attributes that need to be added to the start A tag is the href, that's the source of where the file is, and target. The href attribute allows you to define the URL of the page you want to link to. The target attribute allows you to define where the link will open. By typing target equals blank, it will open the link in a new window. So type the A tag within the body tag, create a space, and then type href equals quotation marks, and then you type the URL for the link, and then close your quotation marks. So this is what you'll do. You'll add A space href equals whatever the link might be, and then you do your closing quotes. Then after that, you want to add one more attribute after the quotes and type target equals blank, and that's going to open it in a new window. Leave a space after the in and then add target blank. Okay. After the full start A tag and attributes, you can type the text that the link will appear on. So right here, click this link for more. Images and other content can also be added here. Type the closing A tag at the end of it. An internal link sends users to a specific area of the same web page. For an internal link to work, the browser and the HTML code need a way to specifically identify which area of the page you want to link to. This can be done by giving an element an ID name. An ID is added to an HTML element using an attribute. Inside the open tag of the element, you want to name, add an extra space, and then type ID equals quotation marks. Type the name you want to give to the element and close the name in quotation marks, like so. So H2, any tag can have an ID. ID equals this, and you make it whatever you want. just so that you can link back to it later. You can use this ID name to create an internal link. In the href attribute of the actual link, the A tag, type the pound symbol and then the ID name that you created earlier. This link will send the user to that part of the web page. Those are called anchor links. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to talk about is tables in HTML. So creating a table is something using rows and columns like you would in Excel or something. There are two major sections to a table, the header area and the body area. A table in HTML begins with the table tag. All the table's information must be placed between the start table tag and the end table tag. To create the header area, start with the header tag, thead. Now begin a new row with the row tag, tr. The th tag will define a single cell in the header. Okay, so this gets a little bit confusing, but if you look at the example here, you'll figure it out. After the th tag, type the title for this cell, which will be the title of that column in the table. So the th ends up being your columns, basically. And then you type the end th tag. So when you start your row with a header, you use the thead tag. And then you have your row, define your row, and then the th tags define your columns. So you might have 3, and that's going to create 3 columns. The th tags and titles to this row, add th tags and titles until you have the correct number of columns. So these are your columns, 1, 2, 3. Close the header with the end tr tag, so that's your top row. Then close the header area with the thead tag, so then close out your header. So that's creating one row in the top of your table that is bold, basically. It's a header. Following the end of the header area, thead, but before the end of the table tag, start with the tbody tag. Then start another new row. Type the tabular data tag td. This defines a single cell in the row. So these are specific for the header, and then td is typical for a column cell. Okay, so td is going to appear in your first column in the second row. Add a second cell to this by typing the open td tag and then the closing td tag. Continue adding td tags until you fill the columns set by your header. So you set 3 columns in the header, so you have 3 columns in each row underneath that. Then you close out the row with the tr tag. You can add another row of data by starting a new tr tag and then adding td tags and data to fill the row. When all of the data has been added to the table and the last row has been closed with its tr tag, close the body area of the table with the tbody close tag, and then make sure the end table tag directly follows that. So it should look like this. Okay, we'll go and do an example of that in one of the activities, but I'm not going to bore you with it now. So we learned how to add 3 new types of content: images, links, and tables.